Has it ever crossed your mind why ADHD and other attention-related differences seem to be diagnosed so much more often today? Some people blame GMOs and chemicals in our food. Others point to smartphones and tablets that kids start using at a very young age. Still others argue it's parenting, that previous generations were stricter, and now kids are given too much freedom. But is it really that simple? Our ancestors didn't live in a world where food was stocked on supermarket shelves. They had to actively search for it, track it, gather it. That environment required a very different set of skills from the ones our world rewards today. And modern research suggests that some traits we now label as ADHD, attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder, symptoms may have provided real advantages in ancient contexts. In 2024, a study published in Proceedings of the Royal Society B described an online game designed to simulate foraging. Participants had 8 minutes to collect as many virtual berries as possible, moving from bush to bush. The study included 457 people. Those who scored higher on ADHD traits, based on questionnaires, behaved differently. They left bushes sooner once the berries started running out, on average, a few seconds earlier. They switched more often, and in the end collected more berries overall, about 602 compared to 521 for participants without those traits. Why might that matter? In real foraging conditions, lingering too long in a depleted area meant wasted time and lost resources. Quickly shifting focus and searching for a new food source could increase your chances of survival. What we now call restlessness may once have been an adaptive strategy in an environment with unstable resources. Now consider genetics. In 2020, a paper in Scientific Reports compared genomic data from over 20,000 people with ADHD, 35,000 without a diagnosis, and ancient DNA samples ranging from the Paleolithic to the Neolithic, including Neanderthals. The researchers found that genetic variants now associated with a higher likelihood of ADHD were more common during the hunter-gatherer era. Their frequency began to decline roughly 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, around the spread of agriculture and settled life, particularly in European populations. This doesn't mean ADHD is disappearing or that it's just a social label. ADHD is a neurobiological condition with high heritability. But selective pressures may have shifted. In a world where you need to tend fields for months, perform repetitive labor, and plan far into the future, rapid attention shifts and novelty-seeking may offer fewer advantages. A striking example comes from a 2008 study of the Ariel tribe in northern Kenya, published in BMC Evolutionary Biology. Researchers compared nomadic herders with members of the same group who had recently adopted a settled farming lifestyle. Among the nomads, carriers of the DRD4-7R gene variant, associated with novelty-seeking and impulsivity, showed better nutritional status. Among the settled population, the same variant was linked to worse outcomes. The same genetic trait produced opposite effects in different environments. This fits with what's known as the mismatch hypothesis. Our brains and genes were shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of hunter-gatherer life. The past 10,000 to 12,000 years, and especially the last 200 to 300 years of industrialization and mass schooling, are just a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms. Modern life demands that we sit still for long periods, focus on abstract material for delayed rewards, and suppress impulses. For some people, that comes naturally. For others, it requires enormous mental effort. On a neurobiological level, ADHD is linked to differences in dopamine regulation. Dopamine isn't just the pleasure chemical. It plays a central role in motivation and reward anticipation. It's especially active in situations involving novelty, movement, and quick action feedback cycles. When rewards are delayed for weeks or months, sustaining motivation becomes much harder. It's important to stress that the evolutionary explanation is a hypothesis, not a final answer. The rise in diagnoses may reflect better screening, changes in educational systems, and greater awareness. The environment doesn't create ADHD out of nowhere, but it can amplify or soften its expression. ADHD isn't a superpower, and it isn't a defect. It's a spectrum of traits. In today's world, many of those traits can create real challenges, in school, at work, and in relationships. But understanding the possible evolutionary context can reduce unnecessary guilt. It shifts the conversation away from laziness or bad character and toward differences in how the nervous system operates. Maybe the issue isn't that some people are wrong, but that our modern environment has become unusually narrow in what it rewards. It may be better suited to farmers than to hunters. But society still needs both, those who can patiently see things through to the end, and those who spot something new and are the first to venture into uncharted territory. Thank you for listening. If you think this was interesting, hit like and subscribe.